So, just so you know, what can I say about this guy, bro? He's been there since before both of when my sons were being born. Like, so, I hope it's fair to say this, but we started hanging out when we were both in ministry and in God and early. But I said it in the Bible study earlier tonight that, I mean, I was 15, dude, 16. He was a couple years older than me, but I don't know anybody at that age that knew the word like him.
Yeah.
Like, you feel me? Because I was so caught up in ministry, totally wrong, but that I'm even embarrassed to share this, fool, but he came to my church all the way in Northside to watch me preach one time. And I was teaching out of the book of Timothy, bro. And I kept saying, Timothy said. And after the message, he said, hey, bro, that was Paul. It was hilarious, bro. Because he was 1,000. No. What he was, because I'm teaching out of Timothy.
Oh, okay.
I'm throughout my message, I'm saying Timothy tells us here that. He's like, hey, bro, Paul wrote that, not Timothy.
Big homie checking you.
Right, yeah. So,
but in a nice way.
Yeah, bro. But anyway, that being said, and I hope you don't mind that I go this route, but we we stood shoulder to shoulder and fought together before, bro. We've rolled with enough powder in the glove box to give both of us a lot of time. So we've been through ups and downs, but we've done it together, and we just linked back up after a few years. I think the last time I saw you, bro, I was coming out of the hospital of my grandboy being born, and you were going on an appointment.
Yeah.
But I said all that to say, bro, that this dude has always influenced me, even back in the 90s when we were wilding, like, even my fashion, bro, like, I was, like I said, I was still dickied and choloed out, and he's the one who came and showed me the wave of just fashion and streetwear and stuff like that. So, I want to give him his flowers while he's alive, bro, because he's had a lot of influence on my life. It's something, and listen, I know he would say what I'm fixing to say. We don't recommend this route, but it's one thing to be so into God when we were teenagers and young, and to fall away for so many years, and then to come back. Is it fair to say your whole perspective's just different, bro?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, you realize that, man, I'm going to be careful when I say this, but you realize that all this tradition and position and whatever it is, bro, it really got us nowhere, or it's not the most important thing. You said, bro, Saturday, that God's love is in its rawest form when we're there for one another, bro. You remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you could just expand on that, bro.
And what I meant by that is like something like this, right? Or say, for instance, somebody's going through something. Somebody lost a family member. Somebody lost a loved one. Somebody lost a job. Things like that. If that person comes to you and just, he just needs somebody, because it took a lot for that person to set all the pride aside and come to somebody, another man, with weakness, especially the way everything is now. You just don't show that. You don't show emotions. You don't show that because, again, he's weak. So for him to come up to somebody and ask for help, that's one. To share his life, that's another. But when he's talking about that raw form, it's like Jesus said, I'm leaving, but I'm leaving you a comforter. I'm leaving my spirit. My spirit will abide in you.
Thank you, Jesus.
And that right there is what happens when, of course, when the Bible says when two or more are gathered, I am in the midst of them.
Correct.
If you are sitting with somebody and you are letting them just pour out and just not even having to talk, just listening.
That's what I forget. You're right.
And that right there is showing the love of Christ. That is showing the love of God, that you will be there for your brother. Right. Walk side by side with them during all, and again, just being there with them. Hey, you're falling, I'll help you up. You know what I'm saying? You need to stay here for a little bit and catch your breath. Let's do it until the session's done. And that's like, could be 30 minutes, could be a year. But the thing is that right there is God incarnate.
Right.
Because you are experiencing no greater love hath any man that he lays down his life for his friends. And you know what? My life, my time, that is important. So if I'm willing to shuffle all that stuff around for you, then that's love. Because I have a wife, I have a family, I have everything else. But you know what? Right now, this is taking precedent. And same thing with God. Oh, hold on. I have some prayers coming on over here. My boys need me real quick. And so just like a father, like Michael, whenever his kids were growing up, as soon as they would cry, if something happened outside, his first reaction is like, I got to go find out what's going on here. Same thing. Just like when we need that help and cry. Besides God, God's like, hey, I got somebody for you. Mike, go talk to this dude. And all of a sudden that presence just like, oh man, I need to talk to this guy.
Man, I love that. That reminds me of my friend that's going through trials and tribulations, and it's a relationship thing too, and he's a lot younger. And majority of the time I find myself when he's trying to come to me, whether it be comfort, or just needing he's probably not looking for advice, and I've changed that a lot.
Yeah.
Right? Because I read that in a book, and you confirmed it for me even more. It's like majority of the time when people are coming to you about something or you're seeking them, they don't want to hear your way or your solution or how you should do this. Like, just let them pour out.
What Rob is saying, bro, is straight up God, bro, because love is unconditional love, bro. It's loving me when I'm bad, good, all that, but it's also giving love without any expectation back, bro.
That's it.
I want to navigate to struggle, bro, and I don't know why God gave me this memory of me and you, but for everybody who don't know, he plays the drums. He's played the drums for years. Remember, he hit me one night and was like, hey, bro, we're going to go to this jazz club in downtown. And I was like, all right, whatever, So we're on the way, and it was called the Red Cat.
Red Cat Jazz Cafe.
Bro, we're wilding at this time. We're I'm sagging. I mean, we're like doing street stuff, and he wants to go to this jazz club. So I'll never forget this, bro. We didn't party. We pull into downtown Houston. We go into this Red Cat, and he's on his drum thing at this time. And dude, we were the only Mexicans in the whole place. Only Mexicans. Everybody in there was African American, black, whatever you want to say. They were all in their 50s, and they had a band. It was packed, though. So, shoot, they were showing love. Hey, y'all come sit in there. They gave us a table. Of course, I'm ordering drinks. But I asked him, bro, what are we doing here? And I'll never forget what you said, bro. You said, man, I want to learn how to play jazz, the drums. I said, why? He says, because it's the hardest music to learn in drums. But I want to ask you, Rob, why some people strive and struggle and some people just lose it. And the reason I'll bring this up and I'll let you take it from here is I believe that in y'all's generation, bro, struggle is taking a lot of youngsters out.
Yeah.
Suicide is at an all-time high, bro, with young adults. Overdoses are all-time high with young adults. That's a fact. You can go look at the statistics, but I'll let you take it from there about just struggle and trauma in life.
Yeah. So, I mean, just like you said, we've all experienced it, and everybody has. I mean, everybody has their own little struggle story. One of the things that makes it so difficult sometimes for people is, one, if you're not invested in relationships, friends, you're going to be alone. That's it. No matter what, no matter how much you pray to God and everything else, when you go to sleep at night, it is just you. And that's it in your mind. So that's your battle right there. That's going to keep you up at night. That's going to keep you going. And all you're going to do is just have anxiety about what's happening next, right? You get yourself a couple of friends who are, like you said, like-minded, or just somebody who you actually talk to. Because one of the things you were talking about too, about the past, is those were, yes, like you mentioned, those were the best times, because whenever we hung out, not only did we just shoot the crap and everything else, but after a while, all the laughing and everything else, all those layers, once they finally got pulled out of the way, then we actually started having conversations. And that's how we started getting to know each other more. Because there is a difference between just face value. You know, acquaintance. We see each other, we ride out, we go and we have fun, we party, and that's it, and we're done. But then there's those times when, shoot, it was like 6 o'clock in the morning and we still up.
Facts.
And all we've done is just talked all night.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's true. We had a lot of nights like that.
Yeah, and just talking about life. Didn't know what we were doing, didn't know what was ahead of us, but you know what? Right now we're here together. And so,
Man,
and that was back then. You got to have people there with you, because if not, you're all by yourself.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? So in those struggles, that's what a lot of difficulty is now with the young folks. Because again, you have the fact that some of us don't even make friends anymore.
Correct.
We're rather just stay online and keep it just, you know, hey, I'm keeping you at arm's length. I'll know you online. I'll be this character, and that's it. But after that, after I close this,
By myself.
everything just sucks out. The life I have on here, this glowing light, it's giving me life, because again, I'm just feeding that. I need this. I need this attention. But as soon as I close it, next thing I know, I'm done. And now nobody cares about me. Will these people even care about me if I'm gone? And all this stuff, they have all these thoughts and everything. Why? Because, I mean, we talked about it on Saturday. The enemy is, in reality, the inner me. Because your mind is your battlefield.
Correct.
We can sit here and say all these things all day. You can read the Bible till you're blue in the face. But whenever your world stops and it's just you and your mind, that's the one thing that's going to attack you. Oh, man, you don't believe in that God, this and this and that. Oh, you know, these guys over here talking, you've heard them cuss like 5 different times, and they're talking about Jesus and this and that. And all of a sudden it's like, okay, and? What does that have to do with the message? If you read the Bible, you saw that God used a jackass to speak.
Facts.
Correct.
And that's what I am right now.
Yep.
That's the only reason why I'm here and alive. Been shot, been thrown out of vehicles, lost a kidney, had to get kidney replacement surgery, and all that. A struggle. 35 surgeries in a year.
Really?
Would have took me out. And you know what? There was one day, one night in the hospital where everything, I don't know if you ever seen the movie Ghost. You know how when the shadows came and they took dude away?
Yeah.
It was like a night like that. It was like the whole life just got sucked out of my room, because it was like, man, I was on the verge of like, I am done. I am done. And I remember, man, just like clear as day, it was just like I was alone. And it was like, why? Why continue? Why put your wife through this? Why put your family through this? And the enemy in my mind was telling me, because I always say it, and they was using my words against me. The check is always due, bro. The check is always due. Everything you did to your life prior is catching up with you. This is why you're not going to live, because you've already done lived it. You've done cashed your checks and everything else, and now this is it. And man, I just sat there and I was like, you know what? I didn't call on the name of Jesus. I didn't do all those things that people said. I just sat there and said, you know what? Man, God, let's just do this. Let's just do this. And that was it. Because that was just real. I told God when I came back to faith that I'm going to do it and be as real as I can and be transparent, because I layered myself with so much stuff through all the struggles, because that's what people do. We try to just cover it up with something.
Facts.
You have some pains, what do? I'm going to smoke it away. I'm going to snort it away. I'm going to pill it away, because I need something to take that away from me, because it hurts so bad. All of a sudden, they're going back with trauma from like back in the days when mom and dad were together.
Doing the same things.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, it's just a repetitive nature.
Right.
But they have no way to get with it. Why? Because I don't want to tell you, because you might laugh at me, or you might tell somebody. And all of a sudden, you know, and then pride sets in. And all of a sudden now we got pride, and the pride's now kicking us butt. You know what I'm saying? Because now, then we just don't want to speak about it. Because who's going to understand me? All the while, you have friends around you just waiting, man. Hey, you good?
I would say another point would be like lack of of leadership in younger cats' life, especially for. I'm speaking from a perspective of I didn't have a father in my life, so I know that I was looking for all these vices that Rob was talking about, whether it be like going to the club or in a relationship with a girl, just trying to find an out. But the only thing that gave me fulfillment and is continuously giving me fulfillment and purpose in life is seeking a relationship with Jesus Christ. So it brings me back. It reminds me of what you just said, Rob. You were just by yourself, loneliness, like until, at least from a guy's perspective, I think, and I hope that the ladies could relate. But until you're in that spot in life where God gives you that, or you have that ultimatum in life where it's either like, I'm gonna do this my way, pride, ego, da 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 da, or I'm gonna do this God's way, right? And He gives you that ultimatum. You make that choice. That's where at least I found fulfillment and purpose in life, is when I went that route. So to answer the initial question, I think if for the guys, the cats around my age range, around from like 18 to 30, because I feel like that's where a lot of us are struggling. I think if they were to find a relationship with Christ and just accept a relationship with Christ in their life, it'd be a lot easier. God always says, He says, we're going to have troubles. It ain't going to be easy, but at least you'll know you're walking hand in hand with Jesus that can handle all things in life. So I think there's a lack of that.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So with the person, now considering that, that sounds well and good.
Right.
But how, if I'm in front of you and going through that, how would, and to be honest, how would saying that, oh, come after God and everything will be all right, everything's going to be okay, or it's going to be better. And how are we going to be able to convey that to somebody, that trusting in the guy in the sky, something that we can't see or feel or touch, how is that going to help my situation right now? But so that's the thing. So it's a struggle, because it's like, how do we convey that, hey man, trusting in God's way that's been polluted by so many people this year and last year and everything else? Because I don't know if you've read, but there's a falling away from everybody. Yeah. People are leaving the church in droves, especially young people.
It's actually at the lowest attendance that it's ever been in the history.
And mind you, I don't know why we came back during this time. You know what I'm saying? Like, facts.
I got a theory why we came back, bro. It's because I think God is like, bro, I'm pulling all the reserves.
Like, we got to get real about this
stuff. I'll be real with you. When I first started again and came back, I really felt God, and I hadn't heard from Him in years, but I just felt Him saying, dude, if me calling you back, it's that bad. And I'm not saying I'm going to say it. Like, that's how I feel. I mean,
that's true.
Alec and Isaiah could tell you, bro. I remember telling them, dude, the church needs real men, bro, to come back. Because you're right, bro. This thing has morphed into something that is like, there's some times, bro, I don't even recognize the body anymore, bro. And I'm not talking from a place of ego or pride, like I got it all figured out. I'm just in this place knowing I don't belong. I don't deserve His blood. I don't deserve... This man just said he don't deserve a second chance. We don't deserve it, bro. We did so much dirt that if the wages of sin was death, we should have died 9 times, bro. So I'm in here knowing, dog, bro. So I can't go up there and be like, I want to thank you. Yeah, how you doing? I can't do that, bro.
Yeah.
Man, Rob's so on to something, bro, because when you go to that person and you tell him, hey, bro, God's the answer. The only way he is going to know God, in my opinion, is seeing God's love through you for him, bro.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
There's an old adage, is that no one, and my pastor says this all the time, is no one cares how much you care about them until you show them how much you care. I can tell you I love you and this
all
and that
day.
to you blue in the face. But if you need something and I'm not there for you, I mean spiritually or physically or anything,
right.
it's never gonna produce anything for us. It's just gonna be nothing but empty words. But if I go out of my way to get a hold of you, right. to pursue you, to go after you, then all of a sudden that changes things.
Yeah, this relationship talk that Rob is talking about, bro, man, it might sound generic to some people, but it's so real because John, bro, the Apostle John, he's the only one that didn't get martyred, bro. And before they took him away, they dropped him off at an island for him to live out his days. And that's where he wrote Revelation and all that. But before, he was an old man, bro, and he couldn't go up and preach a whole sermon. So what they would do is carry him up there, and he would say one thing: love one another.
One thing that also too about the struggles, a lot when you asked about why is it so hard for people to get help with that and everything else. One of the major things is, and honestly, it just goes back to square one. A lot of us, we don't even love ourselves. I mean, let's just be real. When you look at yourself in the mirror, are you like happy with yourself? Mm-hmm. No, there's a lot of things that you see that are wrong. Right. And then they get magnified by what's online and everybody's highlight reels, right? Mm-hmm. We don't see their background stuff. We just see the highlight reels. Mm-hmm. And so all of a sudden you take that in. So if I'm not loving myself and I don't know how to love, therefore I'm going to pollute some relationships if I try to get in it. It's the ultimate because trap. I don't even know me, right? Mm. So if I don't know what love is, then how do I love God?
Facts.
If I don't understand, wow, so you love me unconditionally? And again, to everybody else, to those who've been in the church, we talk about God like he's this figure in the sky and everything else. But when we drop all churchese, all Christianese, and we really look at it as like, okay, yes, I'm talking about a person that we really have to have faith in. Right. I'm talking about a being that we have to have faith in. Because remember, we read a Bible, we hear the messages, but it takes us to actually have to walk on that. And so what do? What do you tell people who are young, who are not believing, who don't want to go to church because they've seen all the stupid stuff happen before? Right. We've been in all these religious churches. We've seen all the wildness go on. We see the pastors fall and everything else. You see the money be used. How do you get somebody to buy into that? They first have to know who they are first. And so everything has to be stripped away. Right. You know what I'm saying? It's like all that mud that they've been layered on, all the clay, because they wanted to be somebody that they're not. Then it's like, well, shoot, so you mean I got to just break all this down? I got to pull myself apart? I got to show who I really am? Yeah. Yes.
And you're telling me that a homeboy loves me when I'm stripped down?
Yes. Yeah, so hold on. So he's not going to make fun, or he's not going to, or no, is he just going to come back and give me like Bible verses and things like that? No. Yeah. He's just going to sit there and he's going to say, all right, bro. Well, then you know what? What do you want to do about it? Well, I don't know. Well, you know what, man? Whenever you figure it out, I can give you some options, but I'd rather you do it first. Because again, I know where I can go. And all I'm going to do, I'm not going to sit there and say, all we're going to do is pray, brother. We're going to sit there and pray all night, la, la, la. That ain't going to mean nothing to you. Because all you're going to do is sit there and like, oh, my God, this guy won't shut up. You know, he's just talking about this.
About me.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then, but again, this person, all of a sudden, he doesn't know what this prayer is about. He don't know what you're praying for and why you're praying and blah, blah, blah. All he knows is that, you're just praying to some dude that nobody even sees. And so they're probably going to be there with their eyes open looking around like, oh, man, what am I doing here? This dude just keeps on going. And don't even go into tongues because all of a sudden it's like, what the hell's going on? All I did was just ask you, like, hey, just to help me. But you wanted to go all full Bible study on him. And all he needed you to do is just sit there. Wow. And listen to him talk. See, that's the difference. We got to be able to just take somebody, man.
That's true.
Take a young person, whomever, or somebody who's struggling and say, man, first off, let's just get down to who you are.
We can't even get the basics down.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because as soon as you start loving yourself, man, dude, everything changes. Yeah. And it's not confidence. I remember you used to always make fun of me, dude, because every time we used to go to a club, I was an ugly, fat, big dude. But, man, I had the confidence of 100.
Was popping, bro.
Yeah. Tell me, I would walk in the club, do the 4-point look, just stopping there. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know how many people would be like, "What's up, man?"
No, forget that. We were walking to the biggest clubs in Houston. Don't know how we got in there. This dude would walk in like he owned it. Point to the DJ, and then he'd be up at the booth.
It's everywhere.
And he playing whatever this. I mean, he just had that favor.
It was just confidence. I
Take
didn't.
you a long way.
It was.
It
yeah.
took you a long way,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
again,
It was that swagger, bro. It
But
was
hey,
swagger,
but the
yeah.
thing was, even though I knew personally, man, I ain't have nothing. I ain't no job. I ain't got no money. This and
right.
that. But you know
Moved.
what? But everybody saw it.
You moved
Everybody
on it.
felt like, oh, this dude has something. Again, we don't know. We can't sit there and prove that God exists, that He's right there with us. There's not a being
like that.
following us.
Yeah.
But you know what? We got to move with that confidence, that faith, because see, we walk by
Damn,
faith.
bro.
Right.
We walk by
Boy, just
faith.
flip the club.
When you walk
That's
into
hard.
that club, into that church,
Yeah.
there's a difference in you. You know what I'm saying? And it's not because, oh, I'm this and I'm think I'm better. No, it's just because, you know what, man, I got to have something, because if I don't, then I ain't got nothing to rely on.
Right.
So I got to have something. People always said, hey, religion, church is a crutch and yada, yada. Sometimes, but that crutch is needed. Because when you're broken, when your ankle is broken and you can't put no weight on it,
Right.
what does the Bible say? Those that wait upon the Lord will renew their strength.
Right.
But sometimes you got to serve when you're waiting. Waiting means to be a waiter. To put the towel over your head, put over your arm and say, hey, man, do you need something? I know I'm going through some stuff. I'm struggling right now, but do you need something?
a
Because
blessing before you receive
exactly.
one, yeah.
Because when you give to receive, to give again, bro, that's where all the stuff.
Hundredfold.
That's when you're doing God stuff. That's
Yeah,
when you're
yeah.
doing love. Because
Yeah.
that's when you're being Him to them. You know what I'm saying? You just got to be Jesus. That's it. Jesus didn't expect nobody to do nothing. He just said, hey, man, just follow. He didn't say, hey, come follow me, man, and tithe. You got to give all your stuff and everything else, and we're going to be a church, and we're going to have all these organizations and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
No, he just
Commercialized.
Said, he just said, no, I'm just going to be here. And you know what? If you need me, holler at me.
Dude, that is why every time I have a conversation with somebody, bro, that's either a non-believer or new, or even in this Bible study, I got to make these Bible studies practical.
Yeah.
You feel me? Like, we just got to make them to where they're going to help life right now, bro. Because as much as you and I and you, we know God and we know His gifts and we felt His presence, the people that Rob is talking about, they have no earthly idea what you're talking about, bro. They've never felt God. They've never ran into Him. They don't know nothing about the Lord's Prayer, nothing, bro. So how do you, like he's saying, how do you give somebody like that a glimpse of God? It's through love and being there for him, bro.
Man.
You know what I mean? Because I love that verse in the Bible where it says, if you can't love your neighbor and somebody you can see, how can you love me who you can't see? I mean, it's going exactly what Rob is saying, bro.
That is the full representation of who God is. It's love. That's it. Agape, love. Unconditional love. The love of a dog is pretty much where I can see God at. No matter what you do to that dog, unless you beat him to the bloodiest pulp, he will still come back to you.
Yep.
He will still come back, whether his ears down and everything else, but that is unconditional. To have something like that is huge. When you're in a relationship and you are so confident with your spouse that y'all can tell each other everything, you see butt naked and everything else, that is so much trust. Because and we only think, oh, that can only be with the relationship with my spouse or my girlfriend. No.
Nah, bro.
Dude, for men to have deep conversations and actually be there for each other, that speaks more volumes of who a man is and more character compared to a person who just wants to have fun all the time. I'm that person. I'm both. I can be that person. Like I posted on my Facebook page, I have some brown liquor, I have some beer, I have some coffee. Whatever you need, if you're struggling, come over and I'll drink whatever with you. Because why? Because you need somebody.
Right.
I need somebody.
Right.
And you know what? That is going to fulfill both of us because we are now pouring into each other, whether you know it or not. And maybe that whole time, we won't even say the name of Jesus. But you know what? He is going to be there in between
He's
us.
going to be there.
Relationships are only how good you make them.
Yeah, brother.
Because it's not. It has to take you too. I can't just pour in because you're eventually like, well, Mike, if Mike don't text me, why am I going to text him again? He ain't never responded to anything.
Yeah.
Same thing. If God never answered you or you ever had that feeling, that pull, then it would just be nothing but hearsay.
Right.
But for each of us, we have to go through that to where when we feel like, man, is it me or is it really God talking to me? Is this just me wanting to hear what I have to say? But then when you start hearing like other people saying, it's like, all right, there's something going on, man. It's just something.
No, you bring up a good point, bro, because I'm going to tell you like this. God speaks to me, bro. The Holy Spirit speaks to me. And I hate those guys. Oh, God told me. God told me. God told me. No. God said. If I'm being honest, bro, take 100% of the times God speaks to me. 10% is the Holy Spirit giving me that feeling and telling me, do this. But 90% when God speaks to me, it's through my brothers, it's through my wife, it's through my sons. And how do I know it's God? Because they have no clue what they just said to me, bro.
Right.
And that's just what I believe, bro. And to me, if I'm not associating with the people I just described, then I'm not allowing God 90% of the time to talk to me, bro. You feel me? Like that's why that hit me what you said, because you know, if you don't have God a lot of times, bro, God will speak to you through other. We always want to, like, listen, I've experienced things supernatural, so I don't want to get what I'm about to say misconstrued.
Yeah.
But everyone wants to get in a room and hear a voice. and if we don't, at the end of the day, we're creatures, we're humans, and God has to speak to us through that channel, bro. Yeah, God's love through relationships.
We're talking about, you know, God speaking, and again, Alec, if y'all haven't looked at Alec's email, the first thing on there, man, is, and what's crazy, and again, it's just confirmation and stuff, and not to, you know, again, say those words loosely, but it is, because when you look at the title of it, and I see that, and it just automatically, because I preached about it. No man is an island. You know, I even talked about it too when we were at lunch, we're at breakfast. We want to live on an island, but we need to be a peninsula.
Yeah.
We need to be connected. You know, like Florida, it's right there, but it's connected. You know, when we're on an island, that's just us. That's it. They left John on an island so you can die.
Yeah.
And that's what usually being on an island is. Eventually you can try to get off, but eventually you're probably not.
Yeah.
So for have that, one, is killer. Two, love can only be kept by giving it away.
That's facts.
I mean, seriously though, to love blindly is to love selfishly. Because the goal of such love is not the real advantage of the beloved, but only the exercise of love in our own souls. Dude, I cannot tell you to be friends with somebody if I'm not actively doing that.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? If I'm not pouring. And again, what we fail to realize too is that sometimes, man, when it's time for us to spend time with people, that's going to take your time, that's going to take your emotions, that's going to take your money,
sacrifice,
and that's
right?
going to take everything from you.
Sacrifice.
Why?
Bro.
Because just like David did, he went in sackcloth and ashes and freaking prayed and everything else. Imagine having to sit with somebody while they wail. It's like, imagine when you're going through like a drug addict who's coming off of heroin or something. You got to sit with that person, all the withdrawals. And not withdrawals because, I'm leaving like all this life. No. The withdrawals of leaving yourself because you've ran this body by yourself, and look what it's done. God told me that basically in my face. I've gave you this body. You went ahead and just ate like you wanted, drank like you wanted, snorted like you wanted, smoked like you wanted. You did all this stuff.
Here's a disclaimer. Me and him have both experienced withdrawals a few times.
You know what I'm saying? And then finally,
I'd have to edit that.
Right? Finally, it was like, hey man, the check's due. What are you gonna do? And I'm like, oh shoot. And then what happened? Just like I told Mike, it's like he just moved things full circle and said, you know what? The woman that I gave you to be a spouse, I gave her the perfect matching kidney for your body. Bro.
No, bro, you're not understanding what he's saying. This dude needed a kidney.
To live.
The woman he met, didn't grow up with her, met her, married her, had the perfect other matching kidney.
On top of that, my son was a perfect match. Who I adopted, who wasn't even my own blood.
It's
but again, not like, and I can be honest. If we're gonna be honest, I'll be honest. Some people always have this thing of like, I need to sit there and just bow out and blah 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 and cry and in tears and snot and everything else. No, man, I was sitting there like, God, help me. I don't need to shuck and jive for all this stuff. I need some help because you know what, man, I don't know anything else. I don't know about this stuff. All I know is that, you know what, I need some guidance.
Yeah.
And man, when that happened, and it was the final day, and we were both getting wheeled in, the verse keeps on going over and over again, and I share with you at the thing. Greater love hath no man that he lays down his life for his friends. My wife said, you know what, I'm taking the table. I can come out of this, I cannot. But you know what, I'm willing to do that for us. For us.
It's crazy.
And so we went in, got a kidney, swapped it out. I have it, I'm living. But the thing is, though, man,
we need to take a moment just for her, bro.
you know,
she loves you, dog.
And that's the thing. You cannot say you love somebody without showing them.
Facts.
And bro, she showed me 100 times over. There's nothing that I won't do for that woman.
Yeah, my wife too, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the thing is, though, here's the coolest thing. Mm-hmm. My wife was one part. That was just the topping. That was just the
cherry on the
cake,
top,
right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. There was a friend of mine named Crystal Lehman. And I say that name because out of all the friends and people who knew about everything, this lady just messaged me on Facebook and said, hey, where do I go to take blood tests so I can see if I'm a match? Like, bro, out of everybody. Mind you, I've known her for a long time. I worked with her before, but we don't communicate and everything else. But found out what was taking place. Didn't even bother to even second guess. Just like, hey, can I just go and just check it out and see? Now, mind you, dude, I've seen people do GoFundMes and this and that.
Right.
I've never for once said, you know what, man, let me go give you my kidney if I have it. No, none of us would. Be honest.
Yeah.
All she saw was let me be him to them. Let me be Jesus to this guy. If I can give something to make him live, give of myself, like, bro, that's when you start really stripping off stuff and say, you know what, man, this is life.
This is stuff that really matters.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's when you're really set in life. That's when you're really set. And all of a sudden, man, everything doesn't matter anymore because now all you're looking at is for your partner. We are losing people at a fast rate because why? They believe that nobody cares about them and they believe they're all alone.
Yep.
And they're not. The only reason why they're alone is because we're not doing our parts to check on these people.
I didn't even know about that moment. And I went to the hospital a bunch of times, not for your kidney, but when you were in there with your blood issue. Me and Amy, this when he was in League City, we were going there all the time, but I didn't know all the things she was going through, right? So you try and be there for him the way I think, but could I have done more? Absolutely, bro. But I love what Pastor James always said, bro. He talks about the times when he encountered God. He calls it the time that God split his life. There was a before and after. And it was when he was going through the darkest moment of his life. And if you look at like when Moses in Exodus, bro, it says that God came down in a thick, dark cloud. David in Psalms says, darkness surrounds you, oh God. God's found in the dark, bro. He's found in the dark. When Jesus died, bro, on the cross, it says the whole earth turned dark. And people told us, oh, well, that was God abandoning him because all the sin. Nah, bro, God was there with him the most. God's found in the dark. I know we like to put this, he's bright light and all that. And that's great, bro, but God's found in the dark, bro. And that's what I'm hearing, everybody say. That's when the darkest moments is when I feel him the most. I always tell my pastor all the time, the times I feel God the most is when I'm the most broken. Yeah. When I'm going through the most. Because all this facade of me having the victory, bro, is all gone. So you look at that and you say, well, how do I show somebody who has it all that they need God? You know what I'm saying? Because again, if I'm going to school, I'm going to work, I'm doing. You're right, because there's some people that aren't in the church or don't have God that are doing just fine. They're fine, right? And there's no problem with it, right? You know what I'm saying? Like you have a lot of people from different religions and different things, and different atheists and everything else, and all that stuff. You got people just being people, right? And remember, just because you have some Christian folk who are just all about going to church every single day of their life, thinking that that's really doing something for them. Faith by works. Bro, it ain't really doing anything because you know why? Because that person who's there, typing away and everything else, all they're thinking about is like, oh man, these dudes are just going over there and just, hooping and hollering and yada, 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 and that's it. What do I need that for? So what do you need it for? Well, you need God because you need to be saved. Well, I'm doing well. And that's a good point. You know what I'm saying? Because the church always likes to, to like go after the people that are at their worst or most vulnerable, bro.
Why? Because they think this is the time to hit them. This is the time because
it's the
you know what I'm saying?
It's the easiest market.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
You know, I got somebody who's all rotten and stuff. Let me help them. I can tell them a better life, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, I can definitely do that." It's like, no, reach them where they're at.
Right.
That's the other thing that folks don't understand, man. Is like our job as believers is to meet people where they're at.
Yes.
Meet them when they come out of a horrible, life-altering situation, and don't sit there and, hey, come to church and worship and cry and no, let's just go eat. Let's just go eat, man. Because this stuff is just gonna, all it is gonna be a quick emotional high, and you'll sit there and you'll like, it felt good. I felt good in church. I go off, and all of a sudden it's like boom, 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 everything hits you,
and
because you were never able to get trained. You were just able to get a quick fix. And what do? We go to church and we sit there and we listen and we look at our devices. Oh, yeah, okay, cool. Oh, man, I made some notes and this and that. After that, boom, we're done and everything else is over with. Like I told you, what we do is we take this food and we're just like fat gluttons. We're just eat it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's it. And you never hear about it. I don't ever share anything about my church to you. You don't ever see it on my Facebook or my IG or anything else. So all of a sudden, that's just me. I'm eating. I'm having a good time. You're struggling. You're starving. Right? But what we should do is, if that message really hits us, we go like this and say, all right, man, you know what? Hey, let me take this foam, or let me get a plate, and let me get some foil, and let me take this to my brother, because he needs to eat some of this food.
Right.
And so now you don't sit there and say, you don't go, hey man, I want you to hear this message, God, blah blah blah, this and that. Hey, say, man, this dude talked really good. He talked about relationships and everything else, talked about some struggles. You might want to check it out. If he never does, cool. You live it then. Right. You live the message in front of him then.
Right.
Because again, some people don't want to sit there and just like, I got to read this whole freaking chapter. For what, man? This is hard. I don't even remember this. What is this, King James? Why am I doing days and thous and this and that? What does this mean? But if you are living out the Bible in front of them, by living out those scriptures, by living out life, by doing all that, all of a sudden now, you just became Jesus to this person.
Yeah, and I think I shared that the last roundtable where I said, bro, just live your life with Christ. They'll come. Just live your life. Like, what did I say? I said, man, let the Holy Spirit do his job, bro.
Yeah.
Just live your life with Christ. They'll come through that, because, listen, bro, me and this guy, before we came back to God, we heard it all, bro.
It was the song and dance.
We heard it all. There was nothing a guy that was walking around the streets witnessing to people could come up to me and tell. There was absolutely nothing. I knew more Bible than him, bro. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
And what got me back? Angel, bro. A dude who just got saved, this kid who was cutting my hair and was didn't know none of my background, bro. He says, man, you ain't gonna believe this, bro. I just got saved, man. And he starts talking about God and God's love in his life. Wasn't telling me I'm going to. He was telling me, bro, about the experience he just had getting saved. And you know what it made me do? Go back and think of that first love.
Yep.
About when God first saved me and how excited I was. And the next haircut and the next. And yeah, that's all he did.
This is the first time I heard the story, and that's what makes it more weird, because remember I told you about the story about my pastor.
Yes.
He was a barber.
Yeah.
I would sit there and chop it up.
Talk about it. Tell him, yeah.
I left church for like 2 years, 2 or 3 years, 4 years, something like that, man. Because I was done with it. I was done. Everybody was just, it was just a bunch of nonsense. Nobody was showing what they were talking about. And it was just like, it made me wonder, and I started questioning things, and then it wasn't being answered. That, along with my mom passing, even though she had cancer, she prayed her lifetime away and blah, 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 and then God saved her. No, blah, 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 and this and that. And so you're thinking, well, that means that, God was trying to teach you a lesson. Why the hell would God want to teach me a lesson about my mom dying? That was the first thing.
But be real, it made you question everything.
Oh, it made me everything.
Yeah.
Why? Because I saw what she did and what the income of it, how the end game was. And I was like, man, this ain't making no sense to me. So I was like, I'm done with this, right? I'm done. I was going. And then a friend of mine asked, hey, you think you can help us play drums at a church? Where we started this, my friend of mine started a new church, and now, he needs a drummer. I'm like, maybe one Sunday.
God gonna get you, man.
One Sunday.
Yeah.
Always. And so I went, played that one Sunday. I played, basically gig it, out, I'm done. Right? Did that for like, oh, hey, you think you
Went
do it
in
next
there
week?
just to play and then would go in the back, shoot the crap, and then
that's
go
it.
back to play.
Mind you,
Wasn't there for church.
They had to build it every morning. Bro, I would sit in the car and just watch. Let them get done,
Dude, wow.
and then just walked in.
Yeah.
Because again, I didn't care about them.
Yeah.
I didn't care about them. I cared about me. And my happiness was playing drums. Hey, I get to do that with some friends. I'm cool. Didn't care about anything else, right? Next
Was
thing
it looking to give
was
back
it,
with
bro, hell no, not at all. But then the pastor was my barber. And he was like, and I told him, I was doing everything to just push him off. Like, hey, man, you know, I would just be
Maybe,
cussing
I'll
and
go,
everything
yeah.
else and talking with him and asking him questions, trying to disprove all this stupid stuff and talk about all this dumb religious stuff. And we would go off. And he would, and dude, at no time did he say, man, you're wrong, yada, yada.
Man.
He was just like, bro, I hear you, man. I hear you. I'm the same way. And all that. And he was just being real.
He's a pastor at this time.
And he's a pastor.
Man.
And he started telling me about
Gave
his
him
life.
grace, bro.
How he left the church too because of his dad and everything else, and then how he got somebody
Man,
pregnant,
bro,
and how he did this and that, and all of a sudden I'm like, hold on, dude, you're not this shiny guy, and of course he wasn't. He had his life, and that's when all of a sudden it was like, all right, now we got something going because you ain't just one of those dudes that went to seminary and you just took a job at a church because that's all you knew how to do. You actually lived some life.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, what happened is that now I was going to the church. I was playing on the set. I was playing on stage. Most churches be like, oh, if you ain't living for Jesus, you shouldn't be on stage because the stage is, you know, it's
the holy of
blah,
holies.
blah, blah, this and that, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, but if you got somebody who's God's dealing with, why are you going to just deny them where God wants to put them?
Yeah.
That's one thing. But again, it's just church politics or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I told him, I said, dude, if somebody ever has a problem with me, let me know. I'm good.
I'm out.
I'm good.
out. Yep.
Again, just trying to be an island.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
But eventually, these dudes wore me down. And you know how they wore me down? Did they do it by inviting me to church every Sunday?
Talking about Jesus every time
Did
they
they
saw you.
did they try to
quote
give me
scripture?
tracks?
Yeah.
Try to quote, and I even told him, dude, at the barbershop, don't even try to save me, bro. I ain't here for that.
You did
God
something.
right there.
I ain't even trying to save.
God
Don't
right
try to
there
save
with
me,
him.
bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm not trying to hear that stuff. I don't want none of the parties. He's like, oh, it's good. Cool. And then we would just sit there and chop it up. And then finally, man, going down the years, you start seeing it. Like, wow, these people are actually, they came to my hospital room. They were there 24/7. They were calling, they were praying, they were
living
doing
it.
it. They were living it.
They were living it, bro.
And after now, been there for 7 years. And this is
it's been that
family.
long, bro.
We just celebrated this anniversary on the
That's crazy.
October. But again, what kept me there was it the move of the spirit and the tongues and the slaying and this and that? No.
That's facts.
It wasn't none of that.
Yeah.
What made me give money to just at any whim, hey man, the church needs this, come on, let's go. Hey, we need to buy this and that. Hey, volunteer for this and that. What made me do that is what they gave me. And that was just
It was
love.
the people, bro. Yeah.
That was it, man.
Yeah. You know,
And that's the meat.
I believe that, bro. I believe that people come to God through relationships, bro. Through
Yeah,
relationships,
man.
dude.
Yeah.
Like, I just believe that. I mean, that's when God is displayed at his most pure and rawest, bro. And nowadays it's crazy. You got families not even sitting at the table together at dinner no more, bro. So
Oh, that's it like this.
yeah, so
How's your
relationships,
day?
bro, it's not cool no more to
Yeah,
be.
yeah.
Everybody's so busy trying to be self-made and want to come up, or they're jealous of each other or whatever.
Envy.
And I think that's what we need to focus on the most, bro, is just building relationships. Because another thing too is a lot of Christians we're like the issue is they're real tribal, bro. Like if you don't believe even biblical things, politically, ethnicity, what do we still say? That's a Mexican church, or that's this church. And guess what, bro? The Mexican church are our people. They don't want no other race going to that church, bro. How do I know? Because it's still all in Spanish.
Yeah.
They ain't trying, you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
So
we might
there's
get a
all these
translator
tribal,
for
yeah,
you.
there's all these tribal things going on, bro, and that's not God. That's not God, bro.
It's not.
None of that is God. That's why I love these roundtables, because it don't matter what church you're from, bro, and we're all in different levels of spiritual maturity in our life and different levels of knowledge. But yeah, I think God showed in the
All that
rawest
stuff go
form.
out the window when you just invite me to stuff like this and just show me love. You know, like
A lot of times, like, you know, if and this is even in secular, bro. Like on some gossip stuff, you know, somebody will come to you, and that's another, I think, a great point. A lot of people don't want to confide in people, bro, because they can't trust nobody. Like, you feel what I'm saying? Like, they can't trust nobody, dude. And it's crazy because this is the point of this round table here, was to bridge the gap. You know what I mean? I'll be real with you, bro. Growing up, my mom had so many problems herself. I couldn't go talk to my mom, bro. My pops wasn't around. If I went to my older brothers, they were going to call me,
right.
you know, all kinds of derogatory names that'll get canceled if I say them. But I couldn't go to nobody, bro. You know, like you were saying, I couldn't go to nobody. So when I got a couple of homeboys that knew we were both solid, like, there was nothing this dude could tell me that would have made me not still be there for him. Bro. You know what I mean? So, and this is in a time where God's not, this is straight demon mode that we were there for each other. And God was still showing up because we were being demonstrating God's love.
We were being real.
Real with
crazy,
each other.
Man.
And that's the thing, a lot of I just, transparency, bro, in Christianity. And you asked the question earlier of, I feel like Jesus's identity, bro, is not being portrayed correctly. Bro.
He's being portrayed as Barry Gibb
Yeah,
Jesus.
the Holy Spirit, man. That's
I just feel like, and I'm not down in no church or nobody, bro, but they're not. And so when a cat like him comes tonight, because he's blowing me away, bro, or whenever I make a Bible study, I ain't send one invitation out, bro, but people are coming. It's because they're hungry for the realness, bro.
Exactly.
For Jesus.
That's the big
They're
thing.
hungry for the realness.
Our church, we have our motto is real church for real people. And that reigns supreme there, because I mean, dude, we have all religions, all denominations and everything else, people coming. And it seems like one of our biggest things is like people who have fell away. And it has to be, because again, dude, there's so many people that are just left it because they were tired of the nonsense. They were tired of people.
There's a lot of PTSD,
dude,
bro,
there is, bro. A lot of trauma,
bro. Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
Dude, when I hear people speaking in tongues, it's like nails on the chalkboard.
Yeah.
Because it was so displayed wrongly before.
Yes.
It was used and abused. You know what I'm saying? It was like people,
fake.
Dude, people treated the Holy Spirit like some corner store whore. Is
Yes.
basically what it was.
Man, that's
like,
facts,
you know what?
bro.
Hey, I'm gonna pimp him out there so I can get some money.
I'm
So
holier than
you know
you
what I'm
because
saying?
I'm speaking in tongues louder than you are, or
Bro.
I'm running up and down, so I gotta be close to God.
It was like, dude, what else I
I'm
can
with
do?
you.
What else I can do? But man, it's like, but after now, it's like the falling away. It's like, you know what? It's just need to go back to basics.
Yeah, back to basics.
Love God,
bro.
love people.
Yeah.
There you go. God will sort them out. You just gotta love them.
And God is using messed up people to reissue His identity, bro. That's what I feel, bro.
Man, that's big right there, bro.
Yeah, I just feel
that's
he's got to use people like that so that at the end of all that, everybody knows it's Him.